Pivot tables are a powerful tool in Excel that allows users to summarize and analyze large datasets quickly and efficiently. In this video, you will learn advanced pivot tables features for efficient data analysis. Firstly, to create a pivot table, convert your data into an Excel table. To do this, select all the data, go to the Insert tab, and click Table. Or use shortcut Ctrl+T, select any cell in the data table, and then go to the Insert tab. We have the option to open Recommended Pivot Tables, which presents suggested pivot tables based on your data. We can select and utilize one of the provided recommendations. In the Recommended Pivot Tables dialog box, click the layout to see its preview. The other option is to create a blank pivot table. We can also use a shortcut to insert pivot table, Alt+D+P. This will open the Create Pivot Table window. Choose the target location for your Excel pivot table. We have two options: New Worksheet or Existing Worksheet. I will insert a new worksheet. Click OK. The Field section displays available fields corresponding to the column names of your source table. If you want to change how the sections are displayed in the field list, click the Tools button and choose your preferred layout. Add the fields. Once you create a pivot table, the next thing which you need to do is to name a pivot table. For this, you can go to Analyze tab, Pivot Table Options, and then enter the new name. Let's say I have entries in source data where there are no values. You can activate from the Field option to show items with no data. First of all, right-click on the field and open the field settings. Now, go to Layout and Print and check mark Show Items with no data and click OK. All the items where you have no data will show in the pivot table. We can replace blank cells with a meaningful word or value. To do this, right-click on your pivot table and open Pivot Table Options. In Layout and Format, check for Empty Cells Show and enter the value in the input box. Click OK. Now for all the blank cells, you will have the value you have specified. Sometimes, when you have errors in your source data, they reflect in the same way in the pivot table. The better way is to replace those errors with a meaningful value. Firstly, right-click on your pivot table and open the Pivot Table Options. Now in Layout and Format, tick the checkbox for Error Value Show and enter the value in the input box. Click OK. Now for all the errors, you will have the value you have specified. If you have more than one dimension field in a row or column, you can expand or collapse the outer fields. You need to click on the plus button to expand and the minus button to collapse. When you add a pivot table with more than one item field, you will get subtotals for the main field. But sometimes there is no need to show subtotals. You can hide them using the following steps. Click on the pivot table and go to the Design tab. Subtotals. Do not show subtotals. Sometimes it is helpful to look at the data that produced a number in your table. To see the details for any number in the pivot table, use the Show Details feature. To see the underlying records for a number in the pivot table, firstly, in the pivot table, right-click the number for which you want the details. In the pop-up menu, click Show Details. Instead of using the Show Details command, you can also double-click on a value cell. The related customer records are extracted to a new worksheet in the workbook. This feature is especially useful if you're working with external data. The Value Field Settings dialog allows end users to change the calculation and display settings for the pivot table data fields. Select any value cell in the data, right-click and select Value Field Settings. The Value Field Settings includes two tabs, Summarize Values by and Show Values as. This Summarize Values by tab allows end users to change the aggregate function used to summarize the data field values. The default functions are sum for numeric fields and count for text fields or fields containing blank cells. On the Show Values as tab, end users can configure how calculation results should be displayed in cells by selecting the desired option from the drop-down list. There are a lot of different options such as a percentage of the grand total, a running total, rank of values. Let's add the percentage of the grand total. The percent of grand total is useful to understand the company's total sales. We can change the show values as setting to percent of column total to view sales by subcategory, or percent of row total to view sales by region. The ranking gives you a better way to compare things with each other. First of all, insert the same data field twice in the pivot. After that, for the second field, right-click on it and open Value Field Settings. Go to the Show Values as tab and select Rank Smallest to Largest. Click OK. You can sort the pivot table according to the corresponding values. Right-click, choose Sort, and select the More Sort option. Then select Ascending and select the column for sorting and then click OK. If you have multiple value columns, you can only use one column for sorting order. Let's take a look at how to create many pivot tables from one. I will add the department field as a filter. I have 7 different departments and we can create 7 different worksheets with a single click. With the Show Report Filter Pages option, you can create multiple worksheets with a pivot table for each product. Click on the cell in Pivot Table and go to the Analyze tab. In the Analyze tab, go to Pivot Table Options, Show Report Filter Pages. Now you have 7 pivot tables in 7 separate worksheets. We often want to group specific data points to better structure the data. To ease the process, you can use the group function to group subcategories together and rename the group to make meaningful insights. I want to group the job titles. I want to have engineer, manager, analyst, architect, partner job title groups. To create a group, press the Control key and select multiple items from the items list in one go. Right-click within the pivot table and click on the Group option. Excel creates default groups, which you can edit by selecting multiple items. Once the groups are ready, you can rename the group names per your needs. To remove the groups, right-click in the pivot table and select the Ungroup option. As demonstrated by our examples, pivot tables serve as invaluable tools for summarizing and interpreting large datasets. They enable you to extract the information you require in a clear, concise, and easily manageable format. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Excel tips.